Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for standing by and welcome to the Cisco Spark Board launch event Q&A hosted by Collaboration Squared. All participants are in listen-only mode. Please be aware today's session is being recorded and the views and opinions shared in this event may not reflect those of Cisco themselves. We will be taking your questions throughout today's live call. To ask your question, please either email spark@collabsq.com or Twitter with hashtag #SparkLaunch, and we will go through them one by one. I would now like to turn the conference over to our hosts, Daryl Hutchings of Collaboration Squared, Ruth Duncan of ScanSource, and Sean Riley of ScanSource.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us. I appreciate you taking the time. I hope you had a good chance to see the Spark Board launch presentation by the Cisco crew. But today, first of all, just want to do some quick introductions, and then I'll go through our format of the day itself. So myself, I'm Daryl Hutchings. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Collaboration Squared. We're a global specialist Cisco cloud collaboration service provider. Offices here in the US, UK, Singapore, and Australia. So we basically do everything Cisco related for Spark, WebEx, and our cloud Cisco meeting server solution, Ubiety. But yeah, I'm also joined by Ruth and Sean from ScanSource. So if you guys don't mind introducing yourself and just tell us a bit about yourself.
Sure, thanks, Daryl. My name is Ruth Duncan. I work here at ScanSource. We are a Cisco distributor and very collaboration focused. My role here is as the Spark Partner Account Manager. So anything with Cisco annuities, I am here to help Daryl and everybody who works with him.
Thank you, Daryl. My name is Sean Riley. I am a business development manager for our Cisco team here at ScanSource. So I specialize in working with our partner base.
Cool. Very good. Thank you. So yeah, in terms of the format for today, really it's about the questions from you guys. It's not about a flashy sales presentation. For that, please rewatch Cisco's on stage presentation. They did a really, really good job. So what we want to do is go through a quick summary of what was announced today, do a live demo with the Spark board that's there behind Sean. Talk a bit about the pricing, so pricing for the standard Spark service and related services, and obviously the Spark board itself, and then jump into obviously your questions. So let's get started and we can go through the details here. So for those of you that don't know much about the Spark platform, really it's a full kind of collaboration and communication solution. So it's broken into 3 core categories. You have the messaging part of the platform, which it gets compared to products like Slack quite a lot. So project messaging for individual people and also group messaging. There's also a very rich open APIs and new SDKs that are available as well. So you can kind of use that platform within whatever workflow and apps that you use in your organization. The second part then is the call-in platform. So call-in within the actual app itself, both video and audio call-in, but also a cloud PBX replacement. So if you have an on-premise PBX today or looking at other cloud-based PBX solutions, this is something that can be part of that. And obviously the most important thing being is it's integrated to the rest of the Cisco Spark platform. And then finally, there's the meetings component. So obviously the hardware that goes into meeting rooms that's related to Cisco Spark, but also then the meetings services themselves around WebEx, WebEx CMR, and again, things like our cloud Cisco meeting service solutions. So in today's announcements, there was a few core things. First, about the app itself, there's a nice new fresh user interface, the ability to separate people from the meeting spaces. There's new whiteboard functionalities that you can do within the application itself, and a kind of really good evolution of what the Cisco meeting app was, Cisco app was in its current form. But yeah, really the big news obviously of today was the launch of the Cisco Spark boards itself. And so what this is and build as is not just a a video conferencing endpoint, which obviously it is, but really something that can kind of transform the meeting room experience. So have an interactive whiteboard that can be used there as a static whiteboard in the room itself, but also to interact with other Spark users live in real time for those that aren't in the room, and then have that information stored into the Spark spaces themselves. And then finally, a wireless presentation device. So again, you know, we've seen it many times in meeting rooms where you walk in and there's dongles everywhere to try and plug HDMI cables in, or you know, there's other wireless screen sharing solutions, but that's just another piece of the puzzle that adds to the complication. And then there are sometimes security issues around those previous wireless presentation devices. So, and yeah, the big problem it's really trying to solve is this complexity. So, you know, this is what a traditional conference room looks like of past, where you have, you know, a projection system, a separate speaker system, many remote controls, and maybe a video conference endpoint, speakerphone on the desk, a Crestron controller, you know, whiteboards, sticky notes, notepads, you know, all these things just add to complexity. And again, the goal is replace it with one single device that ultimately, you know, lowers the cost because it's one device rather than multiple, but really kind of how it works in the workflow. So without further ado, I'm sure you're obviously keen to see the device in action. So I'd like to turn over to Sean and Ruth to show you how it works.
Thank you, Daryl. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, depending on where you are physically located. As Daryl mentioned, we are going to give you a demonstration of the Spark board. If you were able to join the call, the live launch, then you were able to see a little bit of it, so we'll just demonstrate that. And also for those of you that were unable to join the call. As you see, this is what you would see of the Spark board if you joined a room, because we have not launched the Spark board. There is one single component that is the home button right here in the middle. But just as you may not know, this particular display is a 4K ultra high definition 55-inch display. If you were on the live launch, there was the one that they displayed was a 70-inch display, and that will be launched along with this 55-inch. They have on the roadmap that they may get even a larger one, an 80-inch potentially, but that will be further down the road. With this particular Spark board, there's also a 4K built-in camera along with next generation 12-element microphone array that is along the top portion of this particular unit. Just to go further into the camera, it is a 4K 60 frames per second camera. So in order to launch the Spark board, you just click on the home screen. Once you have done that, you'll see three key components. From here is all touch screen, so you have call, whiteboard, and input. So I'm going to take a brief moment to go through each of these particular icons. If you click on the call piece, you have the ability to search. This search functionality will allow you to go through your directory, so you don't have to remember people's extensions, dialing in bridge, dial in the person's name, and it'll be able to call them directly. I'm going to show you how this works in a moment, but for now I'd like to go ahead and show you what the other two icons stand for, or how they work. Second piece is the whiteboard. So by clicking on the whiteboard, you have the ability to use your fingers, or you have a stylus pen that is attached to a magnet on the side of the screen. You can use, this was working just a moment ago. For some reason, it is not showing up. One moment, please. There's the ability to choose a new whiteboard, and there's also the ability to look at all whiteboards. As you see, it's very difficult, but this shows what I was currently drawing, and I have the two icons here, but for some reason at this very moment it is not displaying on the screen.
Immediately after the presentation.
You do have the ability to change different colors, whether it be black, red, green, and blue at the moment. You can leave the Spark board that you have written here, and it'll save automatically. If you are in a Spark room, it will launch that Spark board into the Spark room. You also have the ability to clear all so that you can erase what you have done. Back to the third icon is input. By selecting this, you have the ability to provide your documents, whatever it may be, through HDMI connectivity, or you can use it through the Spark app and use it through Cisco proximity. So now that I've gone through these icons, I'd like to kind of show you how you are able to call directly from the Spark board itself. So by clicking on call, I'm going to call one of my coworkers. So it comes up with a keypad here, and then you just type in the name, and it auto searches it. So it's already pulled up Victoria's name here. I have not finished her name, so I'm able to click on this. Now you'll see that it says call Victoria, and all you have to do is click on the green button to call her.
One thing that's important to note whilst we're waiting for that to connect as well is the selfie. You can see how even though Sean's very close to the camera, it didn't look warped. So that's another nice feature of the 4K camera. Exactly.
And also it does have the speaker track capabilities on that camera. So as long as I'm moving around, the camera will focus on me as the direct speaker. And Victoria can share her screen momentarily and kind of show you how that looks on the far end of the Spark board. But hello, Victoria.
Hey, Sean.
Thank you. I just wanted to touch briefly on, I know earlier we were speaking on some marketing agendas for Q2, and just wanted to write those on our Spark board, and I just can't remember exactly what we were talking about. So I was wondering if you could update me, please.
Yeah, definitely. So some of the marketing initiatives we were talking about for Q2 included figuring out a partner base to invite for the virtual Spark launch.
Okay.
Another thing that we discussed was creating a web seminar to discuss the Spark board.
Perfect.
We could also include updating the website with details for Spark board, including maybe the data sheet and some other material.
Okay. Oh, 1 second.
Sure.
So I do apologize for the demonstration purposes. As you see, I was able to write on it, but for some reason the Spark board, I'm not sure if it's what's going on at the moment, but not just a few moments ago we were able to fully functional write on this, so I do apologize for the time being.
Okay. It always happens when you're doing a live demo, so don't worry about it.
It does. Literally, it was just working.
Everyone gets the concept. That's fine.
So I do apologize. However, I can go back into the call with Victoria by clicking on the green button. It pulls up Victoria inside the call, and from here, I could, if we were in a Spark room, I could share whatever whiteboard I was writing on, share directly with whoever's in that Spark room, so that you can see that and come back to that at any time. For the moment, thank you, Victoria, for joining. We'll be calling you momentarily.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you. So now that we've had that call, through any mobile device or through any tablet, you have the ability to also join into this Spark room. So if you are part of the live launch, you notice you do not have to just bring in your PC to join or share content. So now you have the ability to join through the tablet or the mobile device. So for instance, I have a mobile device, iPhone. I have the app, Spark app, downloaded onto my device. So I'm going to pull that up. And as it's recognizing this room, to also let you know, there's only one cable that has to be connected to this device, and that is the power cable. Right now, we do have it hard lined in just for connectivity purposes, but it does have the ability to do a wireless connection. Okay, so now it has recognized my phone. So on the app in the phone, you have the ability to open up a Spark room, and then it says open on Sparkboard. So I'm going to click on open on Sparkboard, and as you'll see, it's opening up the Spark room. This is a room that Victoria and I have, and so from here you have several different new icons. So we are utilizing the Spark backend application, and so you have the ability to call. This call feature will call everybody that is in that Spark room. Then you also have the ability to do whiteboarding. If you click on people, it allows you to see who all is in this room. So in this particular case, it's this Greenville room, Victoria, myself. Click back to the home button. Then you have files and input. On files, if you click on here, all the files that have been shared into this particular Spark room, you can pull it up. If it is a PowerPoint, you can click on it, and then you can swipe through your PowerPoint. So no need to have a clicker or anything like that. And also to let you know, unfortunately with this demonstration, the whiteboard wasn't working at the moment, but just to kind of give you a heads up on how it works, if I were to call Victoria, now we're utilizing the back-end Spark application, so we are connected live. So I can call Victoria, and she has the ability to share live whiteboard feed. So I can write on the board, and then she's able to annotate to whatever I'm writing on the whiteboard at the very same moment. So that's a key piece to it, because on the call that I was showing, I'm asking her what agendas we were walking through, and then so she can, oh no, you're wrong on this piece, and she wrote her particular note on it.
And so the difference between the first set and the second set was the first set you're just walking in the room as a standard user that didn't have the Spark application and just making a call from the standard directory, or it could be a SIP URI or whatever. But this one is after you've paired from the application to the Spark board, so that makes the Spark board an active participant within that Spark room and takes all the information from the cloud in terms of, again, participant lists, messaging, any interactive whiteboards you've been doing.
Exactly. And from here, you can click on close this space. By doing this, I am removing the Spark room off of the Spark board, and that allows for other users to come in here and connect their Spark rooms into this, where I could connect to a different Spark room. So closing this, and now Victoria and myself are removed from the Spark board. But just to let you also know what's great about this particular board is you can use this whiteboard functionality without being part of a call. So if this was inside one of your hub rooms or just a meeting space, you're able to use this for annotation purposes, etc.
Cool.
And Daryl, I'd like to pass it off to you.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate that. And shame we didn't praise the demo gods on this occasion, but next time. So the next step I'd like to talk through then is the pricing of the service. So again, what does it actually cost to get Spark up and running in your organization, and how much is the Spark board itself. So first of all, I think what's important is to help understand the different packages that you can get with Spark. Now, I'm not going to talk about this in a lot of detail today, but obviously happy to have a conversation one-on-one with any customers to understand their requirements and kind of dig through this. But you basically have these different categories of the M categories and the C categories. So M is basically the message and meeting part of the service. So M1, for example, allows you to have unlimited messaging, up to 3-way call-in, and that's the main part of that. M2 basically increases it to be a 25-way call-in within your organization, and then M3 includes everything from M2, but also includes the ability to have external guests via WebEx CMR. And then the C categories are basically the same as the M categories, with the addition of the cloud PBX call-in service I was talking about. And then there's also various add-ons you can do for that as well. But yeah, so in terms of kind of the pricing of these different categories then, so first of all, there is actually a free version of Cisco Spark that anyone can sign up to, and that does give you the unlimited messaging and 3-way call-in, but basically it gives you no corporate user management, and then obviously limited file storage as well. But yeah, when you move into the paid plans for the M1, the minimum category, it starts at $9.50 a user. And then for the C3, which includes the WebEx and the Cloud PBX calling, goes all the way up to 45. There's no minimums of the volume of licenses you can purchase. And you can also mix and match any license type that you want across the M's and the C's. Now, that's fine if it's obviously, you're kind of getting started on Spark and kind of want to give it to a few people, but obviously what really makes this valuable is when you do a large deployment for your entire organization, and this is where the pricing can get really, really cost effective. So the pricing goes as low as, so this is obviously the highest employee count there is, as low as $3.75 for the M1 category, and then $25.80 for that C3 category. And the discounts are based on the size of the employee count. There's a minimum of 250 knowledge workers that has to be signed up for the service, and it must be an all-employee count deal. And then in terms of how you can mix and match those licenses, again, you can decide what type of category each person gets, but you can't mix the M's and the C's. So you basically decide, do you want the Cloud PBX call-in or not? And then you can kind of pick and choose your license size within that. And then also there's another new plan that's just announced today as well. It's something that they're calling the Flex Shared Meeting Plan. So again, this is really geared towards those people that want to buy the boards, but maybe don't necessarily or haven't historically used Spark or WebEx as a platform. So what this is basically says, for $500 a month per concurrent meeting, you can give everyone in your organization the M3 package. And that they can do their meetings within the Spark board and use the messaging platform as well. But yeah, there is a maximum of 250 users that can sign up for that. There's also a maximum of 25 of those shared concurrent licenses that you can purchase, and then limited PSTN options that come with that as well. But really, that Flex shared meeting plan is again a kind of entry level way for you to kind of get used to it if you buy Spark boards in your environment. So yeah, some PSTN add-ons onto the Spark service. First of all, on the conferencing side, for WebEx, we can have things like US toll, fixed rate global, and then also as we have access to something called the Cloud Connected Service Provider Program, that means that you can have global per minute conferencing as well. So it means it's not necessarily packaged up in a fixed form. And then also in addition to that, for the PBX Cloud Call-in service, we have today a fixed rate cost for inbound and outbound unlimited PSTN call-in with global per minute add-on, with the ability to add Europe, APAC and UK coming in 2017 as well. And that's for local in-country call services. So this is something that we are adding that's a pretty big competitive advantage. And those PSTN telephony programs cost from $8.95 a month for each user that's enabled with that as well. So yeah, onto the Cisco Spark board pricing. Again, if you saw the presentation earlier, they did talk about this, but the 55-inch device starts at a retail rate of $4,990, or the 70-inch device at $9,990. Now, this is extremely aggressively priced, and the reason why they're doing this is that they want to basically have these in every single meeting room. And so a bit like a cell phone plan, when an iPhone's worth $800, but you pay $200 and then you pay your carrier a monthly service fee. It's a very similar principle with this. So again, rather than this device costing $20,000 retail, they said, right, let's make it this low cost, but then you have this small service charge to pay per month, which is $199 a month. And that includes all the software upgrades in the future and obviously making it a cloud connected endpoint. There is also an additional option for hardware replacement as well. So, and that's just some extra dollars on it per month as well. So phones and other video endpoints. So again, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about this today, and we can talk about this offline if you want to look at other endpoints out in the Cisco range outside of the Spark board. But just to kind of give you an idea, for those desk phone handsets, they kind of range from the retail pricing of $200 up to $800 for the ones that include the video webcam. Now, obviously, depending on what type of worker it is, will depend on what type of handset you want to get. With those prices, there are good discounting levels that are available, especially on a large deployment. And then finally, for the mobile workers and people that don't actually need the physical phone on their desk, you can of course use the Spark app itself to make and receive PSTN calls from the Spark app. And then in terms of the video endpoints, they kind of fall into a few different categories here, but you have the DX series at the top there, which is kind of the executive desktop series. I personally have a DX80 on my desktop and love it and use that to join my calls all day long. Then you have the traditional room-based system, so low-cost entry, the SX10, which you can get for just over a couple of $1,000 for real-world pricing. Through to those kind of MX700 and MX800 dual screen endpoints, which are really, really good as well. And then then it goes into all the way into immersive video conferencing for those kind of $300,000 endpoints. But in the vast majority of cases, the dual screen endpoints are great, and with the multi-stream protocol you have from Cisco that's supported by Spark and WebEx, and also our cloud Cisco meeting server service, you can have both screens light up with video participants, and it really makes it so that you don't need those immersive endpoints. So yeah, just quickly on the Ubiety service as well. For those who don't know, Ubiety is our cloud Cisco meeting server collaboration service. Previously Kano, as it was called. Pricing on this starts at $40 a month per license, and you can do 40-way calling. The great thing about this platform is it's completely open and interoperable. So Skype for Business can come in, web guests, phone dial-in, etc., and everything's treated equally with no capacity limits. But yeah, this goes to $25 a license as well for larger deployments, allowing things like unlimited virtual meeting rooms, and also we built an integration between Ubiety and Spark, so it matches meeting rooms to virtual meeting rooms. We also have an endpoint registration service, so if you're interested in going to the cloud for your other traditional endpoints, but don't want to dive straight in with new Cisco ones across the board, we can do endpoint registrations from $40 a month. And then also starting in February, we have a new enterprise plan available for Ubiety as well, which starts at $5,000 a month, and that includes unlimited hosts, unlimited virtual meeting rooms for a company of any size. So very interesting. So yeah, the webinar special offer that we kind of announced leading up to this, we wanted to give you guys a good incentive to come to this event and ask questions. So we wanted to give you guys a special offer. So yeah, the MSRP on that 55-inch device, like I said, is $4,990, and the $199 a month subscription for the device itself, and then any kind of optional meeting subscriptions. But yeah, what we'd like to do is, as a special for kind of end of quarter for this month in January, is give you a $500 discount off of this. And again, it's very aggressively priced in the first place, so this is something that's good for you guys to sign up for. Also, as a nice giveaway, we'll also give away a free of charge extended trial, essentially, of our Ubiety virtual meeting room service. So it means that every SparkBoard you buy, you can pair a reservationless interoperable virtual meeting room to it. And then if you buy 10 SparkBoards within that time period as well, we'll also actually offer a virtual meeting room for every single one of the video conference endpoints in your organization. So hopefully it should really give you a good incentive to adopt the SparkBoard and Spark service, and use our interoperable bridge to kind of bridge any gaps that you currently have. So yeah, really, it's all about the questions for you guys today to ask about the SparkBoard and the Spark service. So we have some special guests joining us today. We'd like to start by opening the questions for David Maldo from Let's Do Video. Here we go. So
Hi.
Hey David, how are you?
Good, Daryl. Thanks for having me. Yeah, a quick question. This has been presented as an all-in-one that's going to replace everything in the meeting room. So that includes my video conferencing system and my speakerphone. So currently, I saw in the demo how I can use it to make a Spark video call, Spark to Spark. But what if I want to call, let's say I have a meeting room with another Cisco endpoint, an H323 endpoint. How can I connect the SparkBoard to a traditional video conferencing system?
Sure, yeah, good question. So Sean or Ruth, do you want to answer that one?
Sure, I can take that one. Yeah, so the Spark board, it can absolutely make video calls to other endpoints that are not registered to Spark. It's using the Spark Cloud for call control, but other than that, connecting to the other endpoint, it's fine to do. As far as calling to other Cisco endpoints, for calling to Polycom or in a different H.323 endpoint, there are ways to do it by meeting in the bridge, and that's where Ubiety has solved that issue. Especially no on-premise equipment, you just purchase the subscription.
What about a traditional phone call? Can I just dial out, a standard POTS phone call?
Not at this time. Understanding that although, yes, Cisco would like the Spark board to replace every piece of equipment that's currently in the conference room, at this time it's not a conference phone. It is still a endpoint that should be used. It's a collaboration endpoint, and it can definitely call, again, into a bridge where other people can dial using traditional phone calls, but at this time it's not able to be used as a conference phone endpoint.
All right, David, to your point about this being an all-in-one device, I can certainly imagine that will be in the roadmap pretty soon. And given that there is a cloud Spark PSTN call-in service that you can use on your desk, I'd imagine in the near term there's going to be that extended to the Spark board as well, so it can make and receive calls to its own DID. I can imagine that's definitely something that's going to come, but we'll have to wait and see what Cisco do.
Great, thanks so much.
And any other questions, David?
Yeah, actually, one more question. If I have the Ubiety service, does my Spark board become a Ubiety board? Does anything change on the UI, or what does Ubiety add to my Spark board by signing up for the Ubiety service?
Good question. So the Spark board itself is obviously going to be called the Spark board. We're not going to call it a Ubiety board, but the device itself has only got that one button on it, and there's no Cisco branding within the user interface. I think Cisco's taken a good course of that, and got some good influences from their friends at Apple and places like that. So. But what we're really excited about as well is the Spark platform being so open. So again, APIs, SDKs, things like that. I can imagine in the future that those icons that Sean showed us on the screen there, there'll be an ability for us to build and customize our own. So if we want to put a Ubiety button on there, so it's kind of one touch join a Ubiety virtual meeting room that's assigned to their endpoints, and then they present on screen information so that guests can join externally and send that information out. As long as in the future Cisco open those capabilities out, people like us and others, I'm sure will be able to build their own experience around it.
Great, thanks so much. I'm writing up an article on this. You could check it out Thursday at letsdovideo.com.
Cool, thanks, David. Appreciate it. But yes, the next question's from one of our customers, actually, from a company called IAC over in New York. So. We have James Basler on the line if you'd like to ask a question.
Hi, yeah, this is exciting. I definitely got a demo, I guess, at the end of last year for the Spark board, and this one I think was obviously more complete and more feature-rich, so I'm excited about what it can be. The only thing is, a company like mine, I guess I'm wondering, we're wanting to, if we want to use the Spark board today, but we don't have Spark implemented yet, we're on the Ubiety Cloud Cisco meeting service. What options do we have if we're not transitioning to Spark right away? What options do we have to be able to bring that into the environment without being fully Spark yet?
Sure. So yeah, as we've mentioned, it is fully SIP capable. So a Spark board can call to any Ubiety meeting space or any other SIP capable bridge that can receive calls. So you can do that directly. I guess the interesting part will be around the content. So, if you're not Spark users today, how do you interact with that content of the whiteboard itself and kind of retrieve that information? So obviously, this content sharing, you can HDMI in, that's fine, or join as a web guest on our bridge and content share from there. But yeah, the whiteboard's an interesting one. So as Jennifer Rosenberg said on stage, you can obviously take a photo of the existing content and kind of use that and send it on, but that's not the ideal situation. So things that we're thinking about is, well, clearly, obviously, the idea is to go into Spark in the long term. Definitely, that's going to be the best experience without a doubt. But again, through the openness of their platform, we're thinking about, are there ways where we can assign a specific a Spark meeting space to the device, and then have that information retrieved out and sent on email to the Ubiety hosts conference. But obviously, we need to kind of investigate that as we go along, and for things like security reasons and whatnot, we need to make sure that that's rock solid as to how it's implemented. But yeah, I think the whole idea is that use the Spark board in the current environment, use things like Ubiety as a bridge to bridge the worlds into whatever else you're using now. But as Spark matures over time, really that's what we want to get on everyone's desktop. And again, as the Spark bridging side really improves over time and kind of takes some of those Acano features over, it'll be a kind of good transition period into that, I think.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's almost compelling enough alone. I don't know if I think they went into it in one of the demos I went to, or even Rowan did as well, about the video capabilities alone are almost worth it comparatively, even beyond the collaboration thing. So it's really enticing based on the camera, the speaker array, the mic array, and things like that. Great, thank you for taking my question.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, James. Appreciate it. And yeah, finally, we have our friends over at NASA, who's also a Ubiety customer. So we have Ricky Guest. His connection wasn't the strongest earlier, but hopefully he's looking good now. So, hey, Ricky, how are you?
Hi, doing well.
Good.
So my question has to do with the security in the cloud. I was wondering how that's handled. Because we want to make sure that our content is secure, and then also a possibility of having an on-premise deployment of this system.
Cool. So, Ruth, do you want to tackle the one on the cloud security side, and then I'll talk about the on-premise part?
Sure, I can do that. So, Ricky, the Cisco Spark application will actually encrypt your data within the application before it even leaves to the cloud. So, once it's encrypted, then Cisco uses HTTPS to send it to the cloud, and obviously for the end user to receive it on their end as well. The point of that is Cisco is never actually seeing your data. They are only receiving it encrypted, and it is not being unencrypted until it reaches the other user. Obviously, I understand that people can be worried about security with very good reason. One of the nice features about the Spark spaces and stuff is you can set them up to lock them so that people cannot join unless they're invited. So there's no way a user would be able to get into that Spark space and see your files unless they're invited by the moderator of the room.
Cool. And yeah, as far as on-premise components, so there's no option for SparkBoard to have its own purely on-premise registration option. It will always register to the cloud, but there is an option to put a Cisco Spark node on your network. And so, first of all, from a call traffic perspective, it means that all the call traffic will localize on the NASA network in this case, but also any kind of file information will be stored there, again, rather than being stored in the Cisco data centers, even in its encrypted form. Cool. And any other questions, Ricky?
I just had another question I just thought about. With files that are uploaded, is there any issues with file formats? Whether it's a window Office or Open Office or, some of the Keynote or anything like that, and how that collaborates with multiple formats.
Yeah, good question. So Ruth or Sean, do you know the answer on that one?
I have not actually seen an official announcement on it because I don't think it's been an issue yet. I've uploaded lots of different kinds of files, from JPEGs to PowerPoint, PDF, Word documents, Excel files, and I haven't run into any issues so far. And
most importantly,
like I said, I don't even think there's stuff on it yet because it really has not come up. It hasn't been an issue.
And most importantly, you can put your funny cat GIF photos on there as well, can't you? So But yeah, so Ricky, for me on that question, again, uploading any information into the meetings, sorry, the Spark space to then be kind of retrieved by any of the Spark users, I think can be essentially any format. I guess one question I don't personally know the answer to, but I'll find out for you, is the Spark board itself, for example, where you can view the content inline. So I know you can do it for things like PDFs, for example, like they're a demo on stage. But yeah, what features there are for being able to play videos back within the device itself or within the app, I'm not too sure yet, but I'll come back to you. Cool. All right, thanks, Ricky. Appreciate that. And yeah, so for live participants on the call, that's the last questions there. But Julie, we'd like to open up the forum to hopefully people that have been emailing and tweeting their questions in as we've been going along. So Julie, what questions have we got from the audience? Julie, can't hear you.
Hey, Daryl.
Hey.
By the way, I was able to reboot the system, so if there's anything that you would like for me to go through and show on the whiteboarding pieces, it is functional now.
Okay. Okay, excellent. Thank you. So yeah, Julia, it looks like your line's still muted. Have you unmuted your audio? Okay. Looks like Julie hasn't muted a line there, or has muted a line, but let me see what we got. Oh,
did that work?
There you go.
Right, sorry about that, folks. Yes, we have had some questions in. The first one is, will there be a larger display than 70 inches?
Okay. Sean or Ruth?
Yes, so far on the roadmap, Cisco has mentioned that there would be a potential 80-inch. We do not know when that particular launch is going to take place, but we know that's part of the roadmap. Anything bigger, we have not heard, but I would anticipate Cisco will definitely take into consideration what the needs are and then try to launch what is necessary for the customers.
Thanks, Sean. Second one is, can the Spark board call into other bridges like Cisco Meeting Server, PEXIT, BlueJeans, etc.?
Yep. So as we covered already, you know, as long as it's a SIP capable bridge, then it can receive calls and make calls.
Thanks. For the proximity PC Mac wireless pairing and screen sharing, is this Bluetooth? They're concerned about the security of this if no pairing codes.
Okay. Sean, do you mind talking a bit about how the pairing works in Spark to the Spark board, or any Spark endpoint for that matter?
Yeah, I can start on it, and then Ruth will probably jump in to assist as well. The proximity works based on how far you are away from the system, and then as soon as you are paired to it, for instance, once I pair my tablet or my iPhone, I have secured that proximity to the board. So if someone else, say Ruth came into this room, I would have to add Ruth to be part of that proximity so that she could then bring her tablet or her cellular device into the room, because at that point in time it is a closed connection between the Spark board and my application.
Yeah, and let me jump in really quick. So it's not Bluetooth, actually. Cisco made the decision when creating their proximity application to not use Bluetooth, partly understanding that although, you know, that way you can provide pairing codes and have a level of security, it's just a little cumbersome to connect that way. So their proximity app, it relies on the two devices that you wish to connect to be on the same network, and you would hope that the customer network would be secure and not open for anyone to join, and then that's how it connects. So like Sean said, it's based actually on ultrasound, so it's a much shorter distance than Bluetooth, which means people outside of the room would not be able to connect to the endpoint as well.
Yeah, and it's literally it's audible sound, isn't it? So, you know, even if you're in a room like I am that's got glass windows, if they're the other side of the glass window, that they'll not be able to you know, see that content from the ultrasound side.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any more questions we got?
just a couple. First of all, can I register the Spark board to my Cisco VCS or call manager?
Okay, so yeah, we covered that one, and you
right, sorry.
can't. No, it's okay. We covered that, but unfortunately you can't do that. But there is a good reason for it. The reason is that with the Spark updates that will come to the endpoint, the software updates, and how they kind of evolve that product, it all happens automatically. So hence why it needs that kind of continuous software development and continuous update. And Jonathan Rosenberg actually wrote a really good article about that. So, but yeah, you cannot register it to an on-premise device.
Okay, and we have Office 365 and get Skype for Business for free. Why would we consider the Spark service or Spark board?
Good question. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I like these kind of questions. And then there's obviously a perception sometimes that Skype for Business is free, but clearly it's not. It's something that you get as part of the package that you pay for with Office 365 from Microsoft. Now, again, when you're looking at it purely as a kind of Skype for Business versus Spark, again, there is that perception. But then when you start to add things to Skype for Business, so if you want to add PSTN to phone conferencing on Skype for Business, for example, or if you want to start adding PSTN capability for PBX functionality within Skype for Business, the costs really start to rack up. So first of all, in terms of the license size that you need to get on those, I think it's the E5 subscription, if I recall off the top of my head, but then the actual cost of the PSTN on top of that. So we worked out the numbers, and we worked out that if you go for keep your Office 365 for your Word, Excel, Outlook, etc., but then have Spark and Spark Call-in, it's actually more cost effective and clearly much more capable than Skype for Business in any customer environment.
Great. Why should I switch from Slack to Spark?
Good question. So I think Jonathan Rosenberg did a really good job today of kind of explaining it from a security perspective. The difference in the messaging platforms and what Cisco's doing to kind of take that next level of access and control for the end user, so that that information cannot be lost and cannot be leaked. So I think that's a very, very big part of it. However, apart from that, Slack is a good messaging platform, and it's got a lot of very loyal followers. But really, again, where you see Spark evolving is not just a messaging platform, but an entire collaboration and communication solution, and with the best hardware and best software, and a really, really good user experience. And it's a journey that's been going on for 3 years, and it's still at the start of it, I believe. And I think you'll see the Cisco Spark platform evolve in a very large way over the next couple of years. So Slack's taken an early lead on the messaging side, but there's so much more that Spark can do, I believe.
Someone's actually asked as well, I like the look of Spark board, but I have Office 365, don't want to go all in with Cisco. How can I get them working together?
Sure. So similar question to we answered with James there. So yeah, I mean, obviously the Spark board is a really good device, and long term we highly recommend that customers dive into Spark and start using it. But if they're not ready to do that right away, then buy the hardware, use it as a video endpoint, and then connect it to a bridging solution, a bit like eBiety or WebEx CMR or whatever bridging solution that they prefer.
Also, can you integrate the Crestron controller with the Spark board?
So Ruth, I believe the answer is no to that one, correct?
Yeah, I mean, at this time you really can't, and part of the reason for that is, as Rowan and Cisco talked about today, they really want this to be the all-in-one unit. We don't want a lot of things on the table. We don't want cables. We want to keep it simple.
And to add to that as well, if you think about the future of what this technology will be, again, we're trying to remove complexity, not add it, and things like Crestron controllers, in my opinion, just adds complexity to the situation. Now also, and again, this isn't anything I've heard from anyone at Cisco, but given that Rowan is also the head of the IoT division, so Internet of Things division at Cisco, I could very easily in the future see one of those buttons on there as well being a control system for the room. So if you have Philips Hue Internet light bulbs or have blinds and whatnot that are all Internet of Things integrated, that will come to the Spark board and any other Cisco endpoints. So that's something that we hope to see in the future, and something I think will be very valuable. And again, in terms of the kind of total cost of what does it take to build a meeting room, this is something that's really going to help dramatically reduce that down, reduce the complexity, and make it a really delightful experience. Cool. Any more questions? I think we've kind of gone over by 5 minutes, but is there any last questions?
Yeah.
That we can...
Just one, which was, what happens if I lose the stylus?
You use your God-given one, right? You can use your use your finger, but yeah, I don't believe it's an orderable part yet, but I'm sure it will be in the future. So for a small fee, you can get a replacement, I'm sure.
Exactly. I'm sure that it'll come soon as an orderable part. But as well, I mean, if you put this in a lobby area or a shared space, you may not want the stylus there because the stylus may walk away by itself. So it's definitely a bonus that you can just use your finger.
Great. Thank you, everybody. So yeah, really appreciate your time today taken to jump on our webinar here. We hope it's been useful. Sorry the demo didn't quite work there, but it is beta code on that endpoint, not the final version. So we apologise about that. But yeah, any questions? Please reach out to me directly. We're here to help. We're here to answer your questions anytime you want a demo. If you want to have a one-on-one conversation, that's what we're here for. But thank you for your time.
Well, thank you all for participating in today's event. To find out more about the Spark board, Spark service and Collaboration Squared's cloud bridging service, Ubiety, please head to collaborationsquared.com. This call will now be disconnected.